Everyone,
geophysicist and another one.
Like Stefan Burns with breaking news. We have just had another massive plasma filament blast off from the northern hemisphere of the sun. And well, if you've been following the channel and tracking this stuff, we had one very similar to this blast off late on May 12th Universal Time that then impacted Earth early on May 17th Universal Time, triggering a G2 geomagnetic storm, which was immediately followed up by a coronal.
Is that why that big light was in the sky?
Whole high-speed stream impact. So there's been a lot of solar activity and overall geophysical energy volatility on the planet, and now we have another very large plasma filament that's blasted off from the sun, basically the same location, not as epic in scale, but still very, very large. And if you look at the dynamics of that, it does seem to kind of have like a little bit of this looping type of movement. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we get an impact from that here on Earth, though it may just be a flank impact. Our current coronagraph imagery is not showing this event. It hasn't broadcast out far enough for it to show up on our...
What is up with that? It hasn't okay, yeah.
Coronagraph view, but I'll
talk about holographic reality, and reality unfolds moment by moment.
Be back with an update for you with what this is showing so we can get a better sense of whether this is Earth directed or not. But the last plasma filament that blasted off on May 12th, very similar to this, was a pretty low confidence forecast that it was going to impact Earth, and then it surprised almost everyone with the G2 geomagnetic storm.
So we went from having hurricanes where we had to watch the water, and now it's like hurricanes, but I'll have to come fire style.
We're well prepared here on the channel because 6 weeks ago we had forecasted out that something would occur.
Because he does pay attention to the motherfucking astrology. May 16th through 18th, 2025, long range. I have never seen this, but yes, you're the Cassini. On April 21st, Earth entered into that high-speed stream. Created a massive coronal hole on the sun, now on its 8th rotation. 26 days later, puts a potential rotation number 9 on me. Yeah, he sure did. Being a number of endings, the powerful planetary geometry. I like how he says that, because I had never heard, and I was like, I never heard that before. Or I was like, that's really cool. And somebody was like, they mean astrology or the angle. I'm like, well, even so, I like the words. I never heard that put like that before. Planetary geometry. Like, I know, whatever. I know what I know, and I don't what I don't. And I'm at toddler style, because, you know, when you find all of your remaining what have yous to be shattered, and I'm in tatters. Shoot, my hair's getting crazier. All right. The powerful planetary geometry is defined by Earth opposite Uranus, Venus opposite Jupiter, which basically, okay, we're going to get to that. Okay, we are, because I was going to say, which basically means that Saturn and Neptune are, because they're super close to Venus. Venus opposite Jupiter, and Mars opposite Saturn. So, I mean, Neptune isn't far, as we can. There's well, that's Mercury, Saturn. Where the fuck's Venus? She ain't far. When's this chart from? 16th to the 18th. All right. They're about an hour different, I think, in rise time. Not even. Like 30 minutes. And, well, if we think about it, how many degrees do we have? Because each degree is a minute. Yeah. They come up. Saturn rises first. And then, see, Mercury's... Saturn rises first. Then the Neptune. Then the Venus. And then the Mercury. Last I knew, Mercury was coming up around 5:55 Eastern. But it was not a test for me. So what... I'm just saying. So you do have Mars just kind of hanging out. All right. Anyway, Jupiter at 0 degree, entering a new sign, it looks like. But, you know, the whole the astrology, just like I've thought my whole life. I'm a Pisces, February 21st. But if you look at a sky map, I mean, just like right now, it says that Mars is like Mars is in Cancer, and Jupiter, where does it say Jupiter? I can't, okay. The Jupiter is not in Taurus, but you can clearly see Jupiter next. Well, I mean, it was by the eye of the bull of Taurus forever and a day. So in my eyes, from my perspective eyes, Jupiter is still in Aries, I would reckon. Or, hang on. Cancer. I don't know, because it goes the opposite way. I do know, but I'd have to still. Jupiter is in Taurus. They're saying it's in Cancer. See, it's confusing. It's stupid. With my eyes, Jupiter is still in Taurus. Just like Mars is not at all in Cancer. It's like darn near right next to the two main stars of Gemini. So this whole tropical Vedic thing has thrown me for a loop. Like, I already had kind of been okay with Aquarius because I'm born on the 21st, which is what I thought, like, you know, the cusp, because I'm a 0-1 sun degree Pisces. However, really I'm not. I was Logan from Decode Your Reality, and I was like, what? I'm a cusper, whatever. And he's like, what's your date of birth? And I gave it to him, and he threw it up on the screen. And he's like, let's see where the sun was at on that day. Well, it was at 26 fucking degrees of Aquarius. So there's that. And then that changes my moon too. I always thought it was a 10-degree Taurus moon. Well, nope. I have an Aries moon, which I am pretty freaking fiery. Like, it might make actually a lot more sense. Jeez Louise. And then my rising sign, I always thought was Sagittarius. 15 degrees, but really, and this really threw me for a loop, and nothing against Scorpios, but it said Scorpio rising, which actually now does also make sense. But then I went to the astrology site, where it takes in all 13 signs, because Ophiuchus's ankle star does cross the frickin' ecliptic. So, and mind you, not all constellations are created equally, aka size. Not all rooms are the same size in the hotel or in the house. They're not. Like, Virgo and Pisces are two of the biggest zodiac ones for sure, which is interesting because they share an axis. Aries is super small. Cancer, isn't all that defined, nor is Libra, but like Scorpio is really big. Sagittarius is noticeable. Anyway, Ophiuchus is right in between. So when I went to the Master Thy Astrology, it says, yes, the same. It doesn't give you the degrees unless you pay, but it says rising sign Ophiuchus, which I'm not even sure, but I do know that I have Orion's belt, freckled tattoo style with freckles on my arm, like off kilter and everything. And that's already making me feel some type of way. And then to know that Ophiuchus sits exactly opposite from him in the sky, I find definitely interesting. Okay, and then that's technically my rising sign. And I don't know why because I remember when that whole Ophiuchus 13 zodiac sign, I want to say like 2010, which would make sense because that's like a 2000 or 90 or 80 or whatever. Or 20. Jesus, the years go by, don't they? And so, yeah, okay. And so that would make sense that a new decade or what have you had went by. And I remember them saying that, and it adjusted everybody's sign a little bit. I was like, no. But then I got a little bit more educated on why. And so I just find it super interesting that. Oh, and I'm really into the Mayan calendar, which is a 13-moon calendar. I'm all about the 13 months. So technically, I almost feel like I got gypped, and my mother did too, because that's how I gained my love and what have you for astrology in the first place, is my mom was into it. So it's like, what the hell? We've been studying and I don't even want, by 23 degrees, that old 23, and 2 and 3 is 5, and 5 is usually a challenge or obstacle of sorts. So, I mean, it's still good information, but you could be hung up on that your whole life and then not realize why things are, jeez. I mean, don't get me wrong. I am fully one that feels we have all of the signs within us, all. I was going to say 12, but the baker's dozen, if you will. All 13. Weird. Okay, so anyway. Earth opposite Uranus. Venus. Earth opposite Uranus. How? Okay, that's possible. But like, at this, I mean, aren't we somewhat opposite all the planets at some point in time? Because like, I'm just saying, that's a weird way to say it. Because like, there's Uranus. And like, I don't see the Earth over there. Because dude, how do you feel about geocentric versus heliocentric? Let's just leave it at that. Okay. Because of the proximity. All right. So Venus opposite Jupiter. I am pretty fucking fiery, right? Aries moon. I wasn't loving that. And I, not that long ago, in a long ass email message to somebody who's on our YouTube reply, that may not even have wanted that lengthy of a reply, but I went into how I don't have much Aries energy, but then my Venus is in Aries. And I guess so is my moon, and I have Eris and Aries. And I did think I had Chiron at 10 degrees Taurus conjunct my moon, which means it's just conjunct whatever degree my moon is, and I'm all about the number of degrees. Should throw me for a loop. All right, Venus opposite Jupiter and Mars opposite Saturn. Saturn and Neptune are within a 5-degree orb. Damn. Yeah, I knew they were close. And Mercury, the activator, according to the pioneer of this space weather forecasting method, J.H. Nelson. What's interesting is I have a video somewhere on this channel about space weather. It was a space weatherman, and they were doing an interview on him, and this shit was laughable. But this is legit space weather. Woo! Look how the tides did turn that super ebb and flow quickly. Pluto and Uranus are 5-degree trine. Wait, Pluto and Uranus are within a 5-degree trine, so they're 5 degrees away from being a trine. Craziness, right? And both are sextile to Saturn, Neptune, and Mercury, which is basically what I was saying at the very beginning. Well, if that's the case, then yada, 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 but he's being very precise and saying sextiling and going by the exact degree number. Okay, so, I mean, they're not exactly conjunct, but he's actually correct. I mean, we were both correct. He's just a little bit more educated correctly. All right, so because of its proximity to the sun and its greatest orbital velocity, just conjuncted first. Okay, wait, what are we talking about? Mercury? Mercury, the activator, according to the pioneer of this space weatherman. No, this basically forecasting method, J.H. Nelson. Because of its, okay, so Mercury, because of its proximity to, that's like some shit I do. And then but after you're done reading the in parentheses part, you're like, wait, what? Because of its, so Mercury, because the activator, because of its proximity to the sun and its greatest orbital velocity, just conjuncted first Saturn, and because it moves fast, ultimately, is what that means in layman terms. And because it's at its most, I just did something on that, greatest superior elongation, I believe. It's like exactly what I'm saying right now. These words are like blah, blah, blah. And like, why don't we just say it's at the farthest point away to the east or to the west of the sun, instead of like some superior conjunction, inferior conjunction. And then they got east and west, and it's like, come on, it doesn't have to be that difficult. Complicated. Words, y'all, words. Because of its proximity, being super close to the sun, and its greatest orbital velocity, because it moves fast as fuck, 88 miles per hour. It doesn't go 88 miles per hour, but it does in orbit in 88 days. Pluto and Uranus are 5 degrees trine, and both are sextile to Saturn, Neptune, and Mercury, because they all rise within 2 hours of each other, and so does Venus. Venus and Jupiter are both tightly square. Neptune and Mercury, see what I'm saying? Earth plus Moon are tightly trine to Saturn, Neptune, and Mercury. So basically, I just said all of this. And I hadn't read it all yet, but he's saying it in, I guess, the proper way, but I feel like I'm saying it in a more explainable way. Because not everybody knows the degrees, like offhand, of, all of these. Venus and Jupiter are both tightly square, Neptune and Mercury. Earth plus Moon are tightly trying to Saturn, Neptune, and yeah. So I don't know why. Also, they made a big stink. A big stink. That's funny saying. That's like my. I reckon they made a big stink about the planetary alignment of whatever. And I'm like, dude, the planets are always like in a line, but this is more like in alignment, if you will, because like they're all fucking talking. All right, the water cooler is full. Earth plus Moon are tightly trine to Saturn, Neptune, and Mercury, while being sextile to Pluto, 5-degree orb. Semi-sextiles tie some of the other planets together, like Eris with Saturn, good to know, and Uranus. The combination of hard and harmonic root notes from the church cymatic windows distributed throughout the inner and outer planets make this, exactly. The combination of hard and harmonic, meaning smooth aspects, like a trine is like nice and loving and easy wheezy, where a square is a little bit more difficult, but like squares are good learning lessons. Sextile, I mean, and then you got like a quincux, you got all sorts of things. Semi-sextiles tie some of the other planets together. So basically saying right now, everybody's talking at the water cooler. The combination of hard and harmonic. So of more squares and more simple ones, like a trine, aspects distributed throughout the inner and outer. And the inner planets would be only two in front of us, and the outer is everything after us. All right, throughout the inner and outer planets makes this a rare and powerful planetary configuration, suggesting significant disturbances. Fucking they do tweet. Yeah, we. Are we even done? No, not at all.
On May 17th, as it relates to solar activity and or geomagnetic disturbances, which is exactly what happened. So we'll see if this impacts us. If it has the same speed going through interplanetary space before it then reaches Earth, that was about 4 to 5 days. That would put us around May 22nd, May 23rd. So we'll wait and see if anything occurs at that time. We also should be aware of wild card activity from the sun, like a Carrington event. Now, these are not that common, but of course, they are very significant because these are massive solar flares that launch out huge coronal mass ejections. And we've had actually a few Carrington events since the infamous Carrington event of 1859.
Hold up. The infamous 1859, Great Storm of Feb, 1872, Sun-Earth CME transmit time of... I was asking these types of questions. I don't have enough what happened.
We also had one in 1921. Of course, they are very significant because these are massive solar flares that launch out huge coronal mass ejections. And we've had actually a few Carrington events since the infamous Carrington event of 1859. We also had one in 1921. And well, if you look at solar cycle 25 and solar cycle 15, we see some similarities between them. They're not exactly the same, but solar cycle 15, in fact, seems to be very resonant with our solar cycle. We had that May 1921 great storm here at the very end of the descending phase of solar cycle 15. You'll notice that sunspots are right around 50 there. Well, our sunspot count right now for May is also around there. It's under 100. It's actually right about 70 right now, the average for the month of May thus far. Kind of similar situations here. Not saying that we're going to have a Carrington event anytime soon, but those sort of conditions are possible. That wild card activity where you think things are calm and normal, and then boom, you get a massive storm impact. That happened May 1921. The rail lines in New York were so energized with these geomagnetically induced currents that the newspapers reported that if you touched them, it could have killed a man. So that might have been a little bit of hyperbole, but that was a very, very, very strong solar storm impact. And we do have a massive sunspot on the far side of the sun, which will be rotating into view in about 8 days.
Let me just say, for anybody that happened to see me in this live stream, like one he did a day or two ago, he kept saying the sun facing side of the earth, and I was like, wait a minute, because I kept asking, are you trying to tell me we only see one side of the sun? Because, like, I don't know what the narrative is these days.
It was quiet on its first rotation, had
Somebody
about the
find the
same
answer.
size,
I
but
know.
it may just decide to wake up, and that sunspot could definitely give us a solar storm
But-
impact. Like,
But wait, there's more. Because if you were to, I mean, like, I'm gonna have to ask the fucking, the AI that. I guess. I mean, I don't know where else to ask. But if we're geocentric and the Earth is in the middle, maybe we do only see one side. Well, it's just a lens anyway. So yeah, I think we do only get one side.
and here we see the main other disturbance to the sun right now, this massive coronal hole. This is an area in the solar corona.
He was just saying the other day that the sun is colder in the middle. The more in you go, it's cold. So
outermost atmosphere of the sun, which is made up of a whole bunch of plasma, the fourth state of matter, very vibrational matter, low density, extremely energetic. Well, here we
fourth state of matter. What are the first three? Like, I feel silly, but like solid, that kind of thing? Like liquid, solid, gas type shit, or what? I don't know.
don't have any. The plasma density is very low. The plasma temperature is low. The magnetic field is open. It seems that this is growing every single rotation, now 9 in a row. Look how much of the surface this takes up. And so the corona of the sun seems to kind of be falling apart. This is probably a normal process in terms of the time.
I think it's the the program is falling apart.
Flying for the sun, but for us is quite bizarre. We see these other coronal holes as well, not as large, but again, it's getting bigger every time. And this plasma filament is part of the corona. It's a big high density pocket of plasma that's now gone. So we don't have that anymore either. So there seems to be some sort of destabilization of the corona of the sun at this moment in time. I'm sure at some point it'll heal back up again, but this is very, very dynamic. This may have been triggered by the magnetic field dynamics down here. We do see, in general, more activity with sunspots and with plasma filaments when you have these sort of magnetic field characteristics where you have these broad open sections and then these more local magnetic fields that loop back. They have to then interact with that. They're going to have more magnetic reconnections, which cause this plasma to get accelerated and released. And so this is growing bigger and bigger and bigger. Again, the 9th rotation, now been active since October.
Damn.
That is more than like 8 months.
Thank you for saying that, because that's more than 8 months, because that's when I did the ivermectin run.
Now, so this has been a very long period transit for this coronal hole. Now we have this plasma filament blasting off. May or may not hit us around May 22nd. I think it's more likely than not. The last one was, again, a surprise for most space weather forecasters, but we were well prepared on the channel. And so if you'd like to stay prepared with the rest of us, then please subscribe. Again, I've been your host, geophysicist Stefan Burns, space weatherman, and more. That's what we discussed on the channel, was having with the Earth energetically. We examine geologic events, geophysical energies, but of course, solar activity, space weather. Even we zoom out to the solar system, examine planetary resonances, planetary geometry, cosmic forces, and more. So again, please subscribe if you'd like to stay up to date and in the know. Wishing all of you well. I'll see you all very soon.
He'll let you know.